Hello, and thanks for tuning in. As always, this is Reverend JR, and today I wanted to respond to this video from Lizzie. Even though I am not a trained medical professional, I feel that I may be able to give some valuable input in response to a few of the points that are made in the video Lizzie originally did. If you watch her video, you'll also notice the background I've got running up there is mine and not hers. She happens to have done this one against a plain background, and I thought this was a little more visually interesting, the blue background, than the plain wall she had there. This is just some technical wizardry I've been experimenting with in DaVinci here. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get into the video. Again, do not go after Lizzie or anything. These are merely my opinions. I think she's an alright person. I think she has everyone's best interest in heart. I just disagree with her methods.
Hey guys, it's Lizzie. So last summer I made a blog post, an open letter to psychiatrists, Signs of Bipolar Girl, in which I went on a rant about things that psychiatrists do not understand about bipolar. So this video is going to be along the lines, but more specifics. 15 things psychiatrists get wrong about bipolar disorder.
So the basic premise of this video is lies psychiatrists have told her about bipolar disorder. You see, I think you'll discover reasonably quickly that isn't really the premise of this video, per se.
Now, there are some psychiatrists who understand bipolar disorder really well, but my experience with mental health professionals is they're more used to dealing with people with depression or anxiety, and because bipolar is more rare, they do not have real-world experience with it, just what they learned in school. And a lot of times what they learned in school is just not updated information and goes directly against newer research.
Fair enough, I guess. Medical science is a very slow updating process, but for the most part, psychiatrists, being physicians as they are, will use the DSM-5, among other guides, to determine whether or not a patient meets the criteria for the particular disorder, disease, or whatever that they think they're trying to find. It takes a very long time to properly peer review modern studies, modern science. And a lot of times, the modern stuff that you would think is a no-brainer actually has a lot of fatal flaws to it that need to be sorted out before they can start diagnosing people based upon it. It's not that the psychiatrists are ignoring it. It has more to do with the fact that they cannot use it to diagnose particular conditions or disorders that exist because they haven't made it into the standards yet. Let's continue.
The first year I was diagnosed with bipolar, I spent every single night reading research like Google Scholar, and I would read actual research articles about studies of people with bipolar.
And you get the idea. Lizzie would have you believe that her year or so spending nights of reading articles on Google Scholar gives her a greater insight to the human brain than people who have literally dedicated their doctorate or master's degree to getting into the science in the first place, specializing in mental health care, and then going on to practice it, getting more experience than just what is inside their own head to base their prognosis upon.
So if you have bipolar, this could be really important information.
Excellent advice, Lizzie. Disregard your psychiatrist until they give you the diagnosis you want to hear. Based on your research, from Google Scholar, from studies and such that may not even be peer-reviewed yet, that may still be ongoing, that may have no statistically significant results, compared with the years of practice the person with the doctorate who tells you that you should try these pills or other coping techniques recommends based on the perhaps thousands of people they have observed over the course of this time. Again, Lizzie, I know you're trying to be helpful, But I don't think telling people to ignore medical professionals when they have conditions that are prone to make them do that in the first place is a good idea.
So number one, we don't trust you. It's difficult for people with bipolar to trust psychiatrists or any type of mental health professional because they are prescribing us medicine that will change our brain chemistry, and in so doing, change our identity.
Tiny amount of words, large amount to unpack. You see, the point of these drugs is to alter your brain chemistry. The idea is you do not want to suffer from whatever particular condition it is you have. This is true of any psychoactive kind of drug, whether they're antidepressants, stimulants, mood suppressants, or even your blood pressure medicine to an extent. The point is, yes, they're going to change you. It doesn't change the fact that you are still Lizzie. If you're saying that your disorder is part of your personality, see, and you're saying you want to be careful not to remove your personality, change it, then what you're saying is you want to be these things. Again, I don't think that's what you intended to say. But what you just said is, the depression is part of your identity, and these drugs might change it, and that's why you shouldn't trust the people giving you the drugs. Do you understand why I might be frustrated with you right now?
Change how we think, how we feel, change the essence of who we are.
They will indeed change the way you think and feel. That's kind of the reason for going to this sort of doctor in the first place. They will not change the essence of who you are, however. Yes, they may change the way you respond to certain things, and they may make you more mellow or laid back or whatever, but they don't rob you of your personhood just because they remove the worst effects of your depression, you see. I don't know how to put it any more succinctly, but that's not a reason to mistrust the psychiatrist, you see.
So I recently have been pushing back seeing my psychiatrist. I haven't seen her for 2.5 months. I just keep skipping appointments, getting medicine through other ways.
Okay, Lizzie, you just told us that you don't trust psychiatrists because the medicines they give you might change your brain chemistry. That's why you're putting off seeing them and getting the same drugs elsewhere anyway. Are the drugs part of the problem or not, Lizzie?
Because I don't want to deal with my psychiatrist.
Be that as it may, your psychiatrist is the medical professional who is responsible for making sure the drugs aren't doing bad things to you, like on a clinical level. You talk about the science you read on Google Scholar and in the DSM-5, and I gotta say, Lizzie, you know the people that are part of that science actually have to go to their psychiatrist to be part of the studies. I realize you may not enjoy this person you have to talk to and you don't particularly trust, but you can't be part of that science that you're relying upon for your argument if you won't go be part of it, Lizzie.
So the main point in this is that they don't tend to explain what the medicines will do, the differences between the different medicines. I have to do a ton of my own research to understand how the medicine works, how it's affecting my brain, side effects, etc. So my advice if you have a mental illness is to push back and just ask a lot of questions and force them to explain things to you, and maybe just say, I feel like I'm gonna go off my medicine because I have bipolar and we all go off our medicine. It would really help me with treatment compliance if you could explain to me how the medicine is affecting me. I really need to know.
See, Lizzie, here's the problem. You are not a pharmacologist, you are not a doctor. Your doctor can give you a basic overview of how the medicines work, but unless you're a very smart, well-trained individual in the art of pharmacology and the biology, anatomy, and physiology of humans and the various things that comprise us, having your doctor explain which neurotransmitters are boosted or blocked, or what sort of way it affects the axons and neurons and so on, or how it regulates a particular chemical within your body isn't necessarily something your doctor wants to spend 3 hours discussing with you when they could write you the prescription, they know your medical history, and you can try it for a time, and then, instead of putting off the visit back to your psychiatrist, you go, make sure your blood work is right, make sure the medicine is actually doing what it's doing. Again, your psychiatrist also, and any doctor in general, I also have this problem with my regular physician because I have to keep changing them, it's impossible for them to establish a baseline if they can't see you when they need to see you. And so they cannot tell whether that medicine is good or bad without being able to see you. These medicines can make you feel a lot better while causing other effects you're not aware of that can contribute to long-term effects in the opposite direction if you're not careful. But again, your psychiatrist understands all of these fine nuances, but as the person taking the medication, much like a person who is getting drunk, you generally can't tell until you're there, and even when you are, you can't necessarily understand it.
I'm gonna link below a New York Times article about the psychological component of bipolar disorder and how it's completely removed from treatment, and maybe you'll feel understood by that.
Unfortunately, this article is not linked in her video description. So I tried to look for it, first by checking the rest of the video description. I've seen one where Lizzie says she doesn't want to stop being this way because she is addicted to it. Be that as it may, when I was looking for the New York Times article, on the Google no less, I found a very interesting article I'll link here about a lady who used to believe in God but now believes in lithium, and who thought that the medicines were also out to get her. And well, it's a very interesting read, and I recommend checking it out. Anyway, that's the first of 15 points in this video, and we're already above the 12-minute mark, so that's going to be it for today. If you enjoyed that, please be sure to click the thumbs up, leave a comment down below, don't forget to subscribe so you can get more content from me, including the continuation of this series, if you are so inclined. Share it on your social medias. Get people involved and interested. That's how the channel grows, after all. Again, I would like to thank my first patron, Kevin Deadman, for his support of my work. If you would like to buy me a coffee or a beer, please check out my Patreon and perhaps leave me $1 a month if you can afford it. And as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.